What is going on, everyone? My name is SiahZ and welcome back to our updated Shattering Concoction Pathfinder build. We now have over 2 times the damage, now doing 20 million DPS, being able to clear +4 level Arbiter within seconds, being able to screen-wide clear T16 juice breaches, and overall we pretty much upgraded every area of the build and it just feels a lot better to play. Before we get into the video, if you guys are enjoying the builds and you're liking the content I'm making on my channel, if you consider hitting that like and subscribe button, it really does help the video out and it does help with the YouTube algorithm as well, and currently that is the best way to support me. I also should be live right now streaming on YouTube and Twitch. The link for that will be in the description as well as the comment section of the video. Alright, let's get right into it. The first thing we're getting into here is the gear. We are running a Widowhail crude bow just like last time. This is the best in slot bow here. It's better than getting just a base bow with good rolls on it. This will allow us to run a quiver and specifically a +2 level on that quiver because Shattering Concoction has base cold damage and really good crit chance. So we can go ahead and run a Widowhail that'll increase those levels that our quiver gives, and it'll really scale a lot better than just getting a good bow. So that's why we want a Widowhail. Now you want to look for a 270% one, as this will give another level out of the quiver, matching that with the quiver nodes on our passive tree, and that's how we can get even more levels into Shattering Concoction to do even more damage. The runes you want to run on here are either Spirit or increase elemental damage with attack runes. I found that the elemental damage runes will give Shattering Concoction more DPS, and that's why we're running them here. For the quiver, we are running a Visceral Quiver, as that is the best in slot base type quiver that we can get because it'll have crit chance on the implicit. We also want to roll cold damage on here. If we can also roll like physical damage, lightning damage, anything that'll give more damage on top of cold is really nice. Try to also look for plus level to all projectile skills. That's the most important stat on this quiver. We also need to get increased critical damage bonus for attack damage rolled on the quiver. This will give a lot more critical damage overall to the skill. If you can roll crit chance on it, it's even better, but obviously that's hard. Anything like crit chance, dex, projectile speed, anything like that is nice because with projectile speed, it won't give more damage to the skill, but it will allow the flash to hit the ground quicker, which feels better in juiced breach clearing. For our helmet, we are running an Expert Chain Tiara. Basically anything that's really high ES base is what we're aiming for here. Still keeping high ES with life, reses to keep res cap and all that. We also looking to roll crit chance on it, as this will give a lot more critical hit chance overall to the skill, and this definitely helps in some areas on the passive tree, allowing us to get more crit damage overall because we have crit chance on our helmet. As for the boots, again, we're just running ES boots, trying to roll life, move speed, ES on it, high ES, just keeping res cap, stuff like that. Anything like that would work in your boot slots. For the gloves, we are running Howa. This just gives a ton of overall attack speed to the build since we do have high dex, and we have high int, meaning we'll get more lightning damage. And this allows us to proc Herald of Thunder, which change into our Herald of Ice to allow us to see those off-screen chain clears. If you can roll Uncorrupted with damage penetrates cold res is even better. I just managed to find this one with lightning res. It still helps, but cold pen would be better. For our body armor, going for an Expert Wayfarer jacket. This is basically a hybrid evasion rating energy shield. This will allow us to achieve both, getting a decent chance to evade, plus still giving us a lot of overall energy shield to the build. It will come with chaos resistant on the implicit, which is nice. This way we get some chaos resistance. We're just looking for Spirit because we need 190 to run the build. From there, just keeping res cap, and that's pretty much it. For our accessories, we're running 2 breach rings. The reason for this is because we are running Ingenuity Belt. This will give the breach rings a lot more DPS. Even if you can't run Ingenuity Belt here and you have something else, the breach rings will still overall give more DPS because it can have 50% quality rather than 20% quality like other rings. We're looking for cold damage and increased cold damage, as this will give Shattering Concoction so much more overall DPS. Anything else on this that gives more DPS is good. On our other ring, we have cold damage, increased cold damage with lightning damage on it. This will just give us a little bit more flat lightning to proc Herald of Thunder a lot more. And then we're just running int on it so we can actually int stack a little bit more with Howa. And that's why we want to have one ring with at least int, but still keeping that cold damage, increased cold damage. And if you need reses, you can try to roll it on here as well to keep res cap. For an amulet, we're running a Bloodstone amulet, but like a lunar, solar, anything like that would be better here. But that's just what we have, so that's why we're running this. We're looking for increased maximum energy shield, but we have flat ES on here, which works, but increased percent maximum energy shield would be better. So that's why you want to look for that stat instead of flat. Also, we need to look for Spirit because we need about 190 Spirit to run everything in the build, so keep that in mind. Then we're looking for +2 level to all projectile skills, so this way our Shattering Concoction gets more levels out of it. And then anything else on here is an added bonus, so if you can roll like crit damage or anything of that nature that'll give the skill overall more damage, is, like I said, an added bonus. But if you can't and that's too far out of your budget, just go with those other modifiers I said first. For the anoint here, we are running Barbaric Strength. Barbaric Strength gives 45% more crit damage bonus, which again adds overall a lot more. If you do want to have a better clear, you can throw Doomsayer on here as an anoint, but we're running Barbaric Strength for that increased damage for bossing and stuff like that. For the belt, like I said, we're running Ingenuity belt. We're looking for a high roll as possible, so anything closer to 80% is better, but obviously get what you can. This will basically just allow our rings to get a lot more out of it, so we're going to get 77% increased bonuses from our rings. So basically that means it's going to increase each stat by that much, which is absolutely huge. Now for our flask, we do want to get a mana flask with gained mana charges per second. This will allow our Shattering Concoction to keep a lot of uptime since it does roll off our mana charges. For our back bar, we are doing a little bit of weapon swap for Ball Lightning, Lightning Warp to get more magnitude out of it. The bow does not matter. You can literally run a level 1 white, just like you see here. For the quiver, again, nothing matters out of this. You can basically just throw on a white quiver. We're just needing a quiver and bow, so this way we can weapon swap into it for our Lightning Ball, Lightning Warp text. This way we can create that shock ground to shock the enemy. So anything works here. For the gems, we're going to go over the clear setup, and then we're going to go over what we need to do for bossing. So for Shattering Concoction, we want to roll scatter shots. This way it'll throw more projectiles to have a shotgunning effect. Martial Tempo to have more attack speed on it so we can throw more of them. Since I said that it scales really well with levels, we're going to go Cold Mastery to get another level out of this skill. Close Combat, because this is better actually than Super Critical, we get more crit chance, plus this is going to give us more damage than that 100% crit damage Super Critical runs. That's why we run Close Combat. And then Cold Infusion to get even more damage infused into it as cold, since we have so many increases and bonuses gained from cold damage. We are running Cast on Critical. You want to go with I have Winter socketed in here, lowest level as possible, with Energy Retention, so this way it has a chance to refund the energy cost when it procs, Inspiration to have less cost to trigger the skill, and Impetus to gain more energy to actually trigger the skill. Then we get into our Lightning Warp Ball Lightning tech. So we're running Lightning Warp with Persistence. This way we have more skill effect duration on the shot ground, and then Overcharge to have more magnitude of the shot ground once we actually go ahead and use it. And then we have Ball Lightning with just acceleration. Again, the levels on these two skills don't matter, so you can do what you want there. But basically how it works is we're just going to Ball Lightning, Lightning Warp on top of it, and then we have our shot ground. So if any enemy comes into it, they'll be immediately shocked, and that's why we run it right here. It gives a lot more damage to Shattering Concoction. Then we get into our Herald sec. We're running Herald of Thunder and Herald of Ice. For Herald of Thunder, we're going to run Ambush to have more crit chance against enemies that are on full life. This just allows the off-screen clearing to be way more consistent. It allows Herald of Thunder to crit more, since we are running like Ice Bite to have more attack damage as cold when it hits a freezing enemy. Then we have stuff like Glaciation to have more freeze buildup on it, with Long Shot to have more attack damage the longer or further away it is from our character. This just allows our Herald of Thunder to basically off-screen hit, enemies with the lightning bolts, has a really high chance to crit them, which causes them to basically instantly freeze, which will cause us, shatter them really easily at times with Herald of Thunder, which will go into Herald of Ice, etc. There's this way we achieve those off-screen clears. On Herald of Ice, on the other hand, we're running Lightning Infusion, so this way it'll have a way better chance to shock with a lot higher lightning damage on it. Then we're running Conduction for more chance to shock with the skill. Enervate, so once it kills the shocked enemy, it'll get more lightning damage, and then Magnified Effect to have a bigger AoE on those ice procs to go ahead and achieve those off-screen clears. Running Hypothermia, so this way we'll reduce the enemy's cold resistance. Then we're running Curse Ground on it, so it'll turn into an AoE duration. Then we have Heightened Curse to increase the effect of it, so it'll lower the resistances even further. And then Ritualistic Curse to basically have more area of effect of the skill. Now we get into reservation skills. We're running Grim Feast. Doesn't really matter what we have on it. This just allows us to basically overcharge our energy shield, achieving 2 times what it says. So if it says we have 1700 here, that's going to equal 3400 energy shield, which is absolutely massive while mapping. Then we're running Wind Dancer to give us more evasion ratings. This way our survivability is a lot better. Highest level possible on this is what we get more evasion rating per stage, and quality also really helps out. We're going Cannibalism socketed in here for that life recovered on kill, helps us sustain a lot with Herbalism, so this way we get more life back from our flask. And since we are running Eternal Youth on the tree, that converts our life flask into energy shield. This allows us to keep our energy shield basically topped off a lot, because our life flask will give a lot back with Herbalism. Finally, we're running Alchemist Boon. This is going to give our flask a lot more charges per second. And since Shattering Concoction plays off of our flash charges, specifically on our mana, this will allow it to have a way better sustain, and then levels quality, all that matters here, to give it more charges per second. And then we have 10 Final Spirit to actually throw around with, so that's why we throw Clarity in here to get more mana regen for the build. Now, once we go into bossing, it's pretty simple. We just have to do a tiny bit of swapping. All we're going to do is take out Grim Feast, throw in our Voltaic marks. This way we can actually mark the boss to get a bigger magnitude of shock for more damage. All we're going to do is just come in, and you could take off Wind Dancer. This will give us the remaining spirit to run our cast on critical skill. Then we go ahead and activate it, and you're basically good to go. The reason why we do this though is because we don't really need to worry about defenses since we're perma-freezing bosses. This allows us to shoot out our Eye of Winners to get critical weakness stacks to basically achieve around close to 100% crit chance with Shattering Concoction, allowing us to constantly crit them. And since they're perma-frozen, we don't really need to worry about defenses because we kill every boss before they even come out of the actual freezing state. For Ascendancy, we're going to go into Shattering Concoction. That's how we get our main skill. And to the 5 passive points, it allows us to get a lot more stuff for damage. We're then going to go into Connected Chemistry for more flash charges gained to help sustain that flash charge uses of Shattering Concoction. And then finally, we take Enduring Elixirs, so our life flash effects are not removed when unreserved life is filled. And that's how we basically take full effect of Eternal Youth up here to do with our energy shield, basically trying to keep it fully recharging. For our tree, we're basically going to go up and take these projectile nodes and Hone Instincts, take Vile Wounds for increased damage against enemies with elemental ailments. We're taking the full Master Fletching cluster for that increased bonuses gained from Quiver. Since we do have Eternal Youth, we're taking Cooked with that Enduring Elixirs that we have in our passive Ascendancy. Then we're going to come up and take this free Jewel Socket. We're going to go down into Catalyst, take that into the Jewel Socket. And then if you see these lines, these are going to be our weapon set 1 points. And you do want to have our weapon set 2, Ball Lightning, Lightning Warp, and then every other skill set to weapon set 1. But basically, we're going to do weapon set 1 points into Exploit because this is like close to 50% increased damage, which is absolutely insane. Then we're going to take Stand and Deliver for that increased crit damage it gives with enemies that are within 2 meters, plus the increased damage is nice. And since we are always going to be right in front of the boss or enemies, we're going to take full effect of that damage. Then we're going to take weapon set 1 points again into Maiming Strike. Free attack damage and chance to maim is nice. We're going to do weapon set 2 points for the first time to go into All Frazzled. This way we get increased magnitude of shocked with our actual Ball Lightning, Lightning Warp tech. Then we're going to come down and take Acceleration because the move speed and skill speed is just too good to pass up on. Finally, we go all the way up and we take Heartbreaking for that increased crit damage and Heart Stopping for that increased crit chance. Plus, you might as well take Struck Through because 1% more crit chance to the base is really nice. We're going to go up and take Enhanced Reflexes. This is increased evasion rating and dexterity. This is also really nice as well. Gives a lot more survivability and damage. Then we're going to take Coming Calamity for that increased cold and lightning damage that we have, since we do have Herald of Thunder and Ice up. We're going to come in and we're going to take Flurry. This will give us a lot more attack speed and area of effect. And since Shattering Concoction counts as an unarmed attack, we can take full effect of Flurry. Finally, we're going to come up and we're taking full Throat Seeker. All the nodes in here, that increased crit damage it gives is just too good not to grab. Once we go up to this Jewel Socket, we're going to head left and take Eternal Youth, so we can take full effect of that. Finally, weapon set 1 point again to get into Spectral Ward. This way we can get increased maximum energy shield per evasion rating. Plus the nodes leading up to it is a lot more ES and evasion rating, so it's just going to be really good overall, and it gives a lot more survivability to the build. Then we're going to come in and take the full crit cluster up here with True Strike for that increased crit chance and dex, which is nice. For the Jugular is increased the crit damage and intelligence, which is huge. Then finally, the 3 nodes over here is about 70% increased damage, which is absolutely massive if we did a crit, which we always are. Then we're going to take these points up here to this Jewel Socket, and I'll get into all the jewels after the tree. Then we're going to come down and take this other Jewel Socket. Then we're going to take weapon set 2 points again into Harmonic Generator. Just nice for increased magnitude of shock to inflict. Then we're going to come back up and go up into Heavy Frost. This allows us to basically ignore non-negative elemental resistances of frozen enemies. And it does give a lot more DPS once we're actually going in and fighting bosses and stuff like that since we're freezing them. Finally, we're taking Thin Ice as well because 50% increased damage with hits against enemies that are frozen is absolutely massive for Shattering Concoction. And then we're going to take Careful Assassin, so this way kind of counteracts Throat Seeker. We still get a lot of increased damage and crit from both of them since we mix, so it's really good to take double combos into that. Finally, we're just going to keep going up, taking the Jewel Socket, going into Patient Barrier. So much increased maximum energy shield brings the survivability of the build up by a ton. Finally, once we get to this Jewel Socket, we're going to throw in a controlled Metamorphosis Jewel. What this basically does is it allows you to go ahead and grab points on the tree that are not connected, as long as it's within the 2 blue circles. Make sure you get a medium small ring controlled Metamorphosis Diamond so we can go ahead and actually hit the points and passive skills that we need to. From there, we're going to go into Stormbreaker. 15% increased damage for each type of elemental ailment on an enemy is massive. That's 30% damage. That's for shocking and chilling. And then finally we go Endless Blizzards for another level into Shattering Concoction. Speaking about our jewels, we want to get emerald jewels, specifically like crit damage on them. If you can get projectile damage, attack damage, anything that will be more damage over critical damage on top of that is really nice. If you can get crit damage, crit chance like I have on some of these jewels, it'll be really good as well, but they can get pretty pricey. So I would just aim for crit damage, and like I said, there's other mods unless you have the currency to go into both. We are running a time loss emerald. This is really good because it allows the notables to have, like what we have here, increased crit damage on the notables, plus the small passives will get some stuff too, and we get increased effect of the small passive skills in radius as well. What this means is these little passives here that grant crit chance or crit damage will be increased, giving us more effect on them, which we get a lot more stuff overall. But obviously, if this is out of your price range, just get another good emerald jewel here with like crit damage, attack damage, or projectile damage or something like that, and you'll be fine as well. That's it for the video. I hope you guys do enjoy the build guide. And like I said, if you guys are enjoying the videos and you like what I'm doing on my channel, if you consider hitting that like and subscribe button, it really does help with the YouTube algorithm. And currently that is the best way to support me. I also should be live streaming right now on YouTube and Twitch. The link for that will be in the description as well as the comment section of the video. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.